Okay, I told you in our last lesson that I was going to teach you guys how to use the graphing calculator in order to graph these systems of equations and be able to check your answers. Now there's two things to keep in mind though. You must always show your work on a graph, and sometimes students are tempted to draw just a plane and just draw a line in there according to how it is in their graphing calculator. That's not going to work. You have to mark your points in your graph so that I know you're at 2 and 3 on the X and Y axis, if that makes sense. And I'll give you some examples. So this is not to replace your work in graphing. This is only to help you verify your answer, that you have the answer correct, or if you're kind of having to estimate what the answer is because it is a fraction or there's decimals involved, then this will help you. So that is the purpose of being able to utilize a graphing calculator. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk over and shut the lights off, and then I'm going to go operate from the L mode, but you're going to be able to see on the overhead what's going on. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to actually put into the graphing calculator number 6. And we see here we have the answer already. Of course, in your books, you do not have the answer. But we're going to make sure that we get it right in our graphing calculators. So I'm going to throw a graphing calculator up here, and we see the screen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so I have it on. The first thing I'll do whenever I'm going to graph is I'm going to hit Window in here, and I'm going to go ahead and set my X min here at a -10 and my X max at a +10. This will be 1. -10, +10, and then everything else is 1. And all that is that it's going to graph you within 10 units to the right of your origin, 10 units to the left of your origin, 10 above and 10 below. And that should satisfy for most equations. Sometimes we'll have word problems that we might want to graph and look at. And of course with word problems, we're dealing usually with higher values, so it would need us to go in and change this. But for what you need to know now, this is where your window set should be, okay? All right, now the next thing I want to do is I want to put these equations into my graphing calculator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this Y equals button. Now, if you have equations in already, you need to clear them out. So like for instance, if I had 3x plus 2 in there, I would just want to go ahead and clear that out. Now remember, we're going to be putting in 2 equations. So I'm going to put in the first equation, which is y equals 3x plus 4. Now, with the graphing calculator, notice how it's already set at y equals. So that means that all your equations must first be put into slope-intercept form. And your graphing calculator will not do that for you. So it's important that you understand that you have to put them into slope-intercept form before they can be put into the graphing calculator. Now, fortunate, the ones we are using today are, so we have 3x plus 4, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. 3x, now remember for x we use the xt theta n button, x plus 4. Okay, so now there's my first equation. Now I'm just going to hit the down arrow button here. My nails are really bad, so I apologize for that. We have -2x minus 1. Now we're not going to put -2x minus 1, we're going to put -2x minus 1. So I'm going to come down here to the negative button, right there, hit it. Alright, and now back to 2x minus 1. Okay, so all we're going to do now is we're going to hit graph. So it's going to put the graph on here for us, but it doesn't tell us exactly where they intersect. Now I can hit this little up and down and right and left button, and you see it's going to move this little cursor around here, and I can actually try to move it as close as possible to where they're intersecting, but it's never going to give me a quite exact value. Notice here it has x is at -1.063 and 0.96, and it's kind of hard to get that cursor exactly where they're at. So there is a way that you can do this to get exactly where they're intersecting at. What you're going to do here is, if you will notice here above the trace button, it has calculate. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit second calculate. And of course what we want to calculate is where they're intersecting. So I'm going to hit 5 for intersect. Now, This is not your answer. Notice how it says first curve? That is not your answer. You actually have to hit enter 3 times to get your answer. So we got 1, second curve, no, still not at the answer. Guess, no, still not at the answer. Now we're at the answer, where it says intersection. So you have to keep hitting the enter button 3 times or until you see the word intersection. And we see here that we are intersecting at -1 and +1. So I hope that will help you when you're doing your work.